Hey everybody, it's John Halpin. I'm here with Josh Katzowitz like every Friday. Welcome to this week's edition of Pickwatch Live, or this week's Friday edition of Pickwatch Live. Normally we're recapping a Thursday game, Josh, but we didn't have one. What'd you do last night with your free time?
The family and I went to go see Mary Poppins. The new
How
Mary
was it?
Poppins. It was pretty good. I didn't love Lin-Manuel Miranda in that kind of blue-collar Bert spot.
Right.
He's a lamplighter instead of a chimney sweep. I like Lin-Manuel Miranda, but I just didn't, trying to play that role after Dick Van Dyke did it.
Yeah.
Didn't
That's
quite
tough.
do it
It's
for
big
me.
shoes to fill right there.
What's that?
That's big shoes to fill right there.
Yeah, it is. It's weird, though. My wife is a huge Mary Poppins fan. She's probably seen the movie dozens of times. I've seen it maybe, 3 or 4 times in my life. But for whatever reason, like halfway through, like my eyes started tearing up. And I started I don't know why. Because like the first movie doesn't have like this emotional appeal to me.
Right.
Like when I saw Creed the first time, and
Yeah.
it went all back to I started like tearing up in the movie theater. But that's understandable. I loved the Rocky movies growing up. Mary Poppins didn't do the same thing for me. For whatever reason, I started tearing up and like I'd like wipe my eyes like this and like it was weird. But yeah, it was fun. It was good to be. It was enjoyable. Bring the kids.
Okay, yeah, because my daughter's been asking me because my daughter in particular, she loves Lin-Manuel Miranda and took her to see Hamilton on Broadway and all that stuff. So
Yeah, I mean he's a good actor and he's fairly charismatic, but trying to fill Dick Van Dyke shoes in that role, in that type of role, just a little lacking for me. But Emily Blunt as Mary Poppins was pretty good, and the kids were. It was good. I liked it.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Everybody, we're going to do the Week 16 picks. I want to just tip you off that NFLPickwatch.com, because there's no Thursday game this week, there aren't as many picks in by today as there normally are. So, I mean, Josh and I have our picks in, but normally we can say, oh, well, 83% of the people here like the Vikings. And it looks to me from taking a quick look that about half the picks are in so far. So you're going to want to keep an eye over the weekend. If you're using Pickwatch to track picks in addition to making your own, you probably want to check over the weekend, maybe Saturday, to see what the picks look like, to get maybe a better gauge than you get now. You get a decent gauge now, but you get a better one later. But we tell you, NFLPickwatch.com, make your picks, check everybody else's. There's team pages to see how the team's doing against spread. There are different ways to sort all the data from all the experts. You can pick your favorites. That's a relatively new feature. Whole bunch of cool stuff. So let's get moving. Week 16, 2 Saturday games. First, Redskins-Titans. Titans by 10. Over-unders 37. Josh Johnson back at quarterback after his win in his first start for the Skins last week. They didn't do much on offense, but they did enough, and they won. He didn't screw up, which is basically the way they wanted it to work. The Titans are coming off shutting out the Giants on the road. The Titans 5-1 at home, 3-5 on the road. They've been, but they had wins against some good teams at home. They've won 3 in a row. They had that little blip there. They won a couple in a row. We really thought they were coming along. Then they lost a couple in a row. Now they're back on a winning streak, playing for a playoff spot. The Redskins had lost 4 in a row before beating the Jags, but the Jags I know the Jags are playing at home. Jags are kind of bad. What do you think here? I'm seeing a Titans route, but maybe all year I've been buying into the Titans a little more than I should.
I don't know if I see the Titans really. I just don't know if they have all the offense to really I feel comfortable saying they're going to rout anybody. Josh Johnson, it was kind of a joke last week when I think I said he was like the all-time best third-string quarterback or whatever, but he did okay. Coming off the street, he rushed for 49 yards and threw for 151 yards and a touchdown. Didn't turn the ball over. Well, I guess he fumbled, but he didn't lose it. He didn't turn the ball over at all. And I mean, that's what you need from that guy like that. And we've seen that a couple of times this year. Like Nick Mullins in San Francisco has done well as kind of a really deep backup. I think the Titans are going to win the game, but I don't. I know they won by 17 last week, but which I guess is sort of a rout, and obviously would be enough to cover the spread this week. And the Redskins just aren't very good, even with Josh Johnson. But I look at the Titans and they've had some sizable wins this year. I'm not comfortable putting money on the line that says they got to win by at least 10 points. I mean, I know they did with they won by 24 the Patriots, and they won by 21 a couple weeks ago versus the Jaguars. But I don't feel great about putting my money there.
So Derrick Henry, 200 yards again. What do you think? We ready for another Derrick Henry smash game?
That guy's been crazy the last couple weeks, huh?
Yeah, he really has.
But again, do you feel comfortable? Like, he's not ever been a guy you can count on for that kind of, production on a consistent basis.
Correct.
So are you going to be like, oh, this guy's turned a corner in his career just because he's had a couple good weeks? I don't.
I think they are committed to him being their workhorse at this point anyway. I don't know that means he's going to be a superstar and run for 150 or 70 yards every week. And you can't carry 33 times a game. You can do that late in the season now when he's got fresh legs, because all year they've been splitting time with him and Deion Lewis, and now they're finally saying, okay, Derek. I mean, the stat that I've used all week that I've noticed is that last week he had 33 carries against the Giants. Before last week, he had not been on the field for 33 snaps all year.
Right.
And they just decided 2 weeks ago, like, oh, hey, let's give him the ball every time. All right. And actually 2 weeks ago, they didn't. The game against the Jags where he had the 99-yard run and the 4 touchdowns, he was splitting time with Deion Lewis. Like, he only carried 17 times. Then last week, they went, all right, we're winning. Let's grind it out.
Right. But, he went through a stretch in, like, week 6 through, let's say, week 9, where that included a bye. 21 yards, 33 yards, 27 yards. Now, he only had 7 carries, 12 carries, 6 carries, but he's only averaging like 2.75 yards a carry.
Right.
So like just because he's had just like these great numbers this last couple of weeks, I don't know. He could very well go like 21 carries for 50 yards, and you're like, oh well, that was kind of a short-lived pop.
Right. Yeah, I
think Pens are going to win, but again, I don't like them by 10.
Okay. I think we're probably looking at 24-7 or something. Like, I think the Redskins are going to be kind of helpless on offense. So anyway, Josh has the Redskins against the spread. I have the Titans right now on NFLPickwatch.com. 61% of the experts have the Redskins getting the points, and 65% of the fans have the Redskins getting the points. Everybody's with you. I'm in the minority this week. Okay, Ravens Chargers. Chargers by 4, over under 43.5. Ravens have won 4 out of 5. The only loss was an overtime at Kansas City. They've been playing well since Lamar Jackson became their starting quarterback. They've been playing well. They run the ball a ton. They run the ball more than anybody in the league at this point. Gus Edwards runs 20 times a game, and Jackson runs 15, and Kenneth Dixon gets 10. I mean, they just basically, it's like, an old school, not option, because that's not the style, but it's like, we're going to run the ball down your throat and play defense and see if you can beat us, which is working. Their wins in this stretch, though: Cincinnati at home, Oakland at home, Falcons on the road, Bucks at home. So they haven't been beating a murderers row of teams. They're stepping up in class this week, to use a horse racing term. Chargers, on the other hand, have won 10 of 11, a lot of close wins. They're going to get Melvin Gordon back. Looks like they're going to get Keenan Allen back. They're tied atop the AFC West. If the Chargers win and the Chiefs lose at Seattle, the Chargers will be in the driver's seat for the number 1 seed in the AFC. Now, home field, this is not the greatest home field advantage in the world that they have this weekend, right? And even the playoff, looking ahead to the playoffs, it's the same thing. This is kind of a, who the heck knows who's going to show up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it seems like a lot of times they'd rather be on the road. They play well on the road. This is kind of a tough game for me. I'm going with the Chargers straight up. I'm going with the Ravens at plus. Was it 4.5? You said.
We got 4 now. It's down to 4.
Okay, I had it at 4.5. I think at one point earlier in the week it was 5.5. I think
that might be right.
And I took the Ravens then, even at 4. I'll probably keep it with the Ravens. I'm not quite as comfortable. I'd rather have it at 5.5 like it was originally. But that's why the line moved to where it is now. We're kind of still waiting for what happens when the Ravens fall behind by 14, 17, 20 points, and what happens then with Lamar Jackson. We haven't really seen that yet. The Chargers defense is pretty good. They're the top 10 defense. They're 8th in the league in against the run in yards, or 8th in the league in yards allowed in the running game. So this could be a situation where Baltimore comes up against a pretty good rush defense, and we'll kind of see what happens. But again, is this a team built for the playoffs offensively with Baltimore? I mean, Lamar Jackson's been good, like you said, but we're still waiting, I guess, to see what happens when they fall behind. We just haven't seen it yet. And the only loss they had was to the Chiefs during that stretch.
Yep.
They won 4-5, and they kept that game close, had chances to win the game. I don't know. I think, like I said, this is going to be a close game. I don't think the Ravens will pull it out. Again, that's a tough – like, even though there's not a huge home advantage for the Chargers, the Ravens still have to go all the way across the country, and that's a tough flight to make and a tough road trip to go on. I think it's going to be a close game. I like the Chargers, like I said, but I think the Ravens will keep it close. But from going from 5.5 to 4, it makes me kind of wary too.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, and it did open at 5.5. The question I want to ask you about them in the playoffs. I agree with you for being a serious threat in the playoffs, right? I mean, and they're now in a position. If they lose this game, they're probably on the outside looking in. So it's tough for them to make it. But let's say they make it, and if they make it, they're going to be the 6th seed because the Chargers Chiefs loser is the 5. So yeah, I don't know how built the Ravens are for the playoffs, but in round 1, they probably go to either. Well, they might go to they could go to Houston. They could go to New England.
Yeah.
I mean, those are, or they could go to Pittsburgh. No, they wouldn't go. Pittsburgh wouldn't be the 3 most likely if the Ravens didn't win the division. But like they could, those 2 teams those wins are doable. Houston or New England, that's doable for them, I think.
I think Houston's a lot more. It seems to me like Houston's a lot more doable than New England. But the way New England's played, yeah, it's. I mean, listen, there are teams that there's always teams like this that are like kind of on the bubble and that have major questions, and then they make this great playoff run, and they just get it together at the right time. And I mean, the Ravens are playing well. I mean, they're kind of peaking at the right time. Oh man, can you hear that? Some audio coming through my computer.
No.
I mean, the Ravens did that with Joe Flacco a couple of years ago. All of a sudden, they just caught heat at the right time, and they won the Super Bowl. So, I mean, it's not the wrong possibility, but I don't know. If they go to a place like New England and Brady's on, and they fall behind by 21-0, then they're screwed. But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, both those games on the road, if they make the playoffs at New England and at Houston, they are winnable.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather I guess you'd rather do that than. I mean, obviously, than go to the Chiefs, or
right.
Maybe even the Steelers.
All right, so you had the Ravens get spread, but you got 5.5. At 4, it's a little.
I think I actually had it. And I saw it at 5.5. I picked it at 4.5.
Okay, so you got the Ravens. I got the Chargers. I think it could be closer. This is one of those. If I had to pick 5 games to bet, it wouldn't be this. One of them wouldn't be this one. Experts, 55% have the Chargers given the points. Fans, 54% of the Chargers given the points. Pretty uniform there. All right, let's go to Sunday. Bucks Cowboys. Cowboys by 7. Over under 48. Cowboys are 6-1 at home, so they're 2-4, 2-5 on the road. The Bucks are 1-6 on the road. It's not great. The Cowboys had won 5 in a row before they got shut out at Indy. They're waiting on Zach Martin. He was limited in practice. They're not sure if he's going to be back. I looked at this game last week, and I kind of went, I'm not killing the Cowboys for that loss. Like my outlook on them didn't change in that game. It's a tough spot against a good team, and I know they would rather not have gotten shut out. But this doesn't make me reconsider anything about the Cowboys. They're kind of the same team I thought they were, and in this game, I think that's probably enough.
Yeah, I did like the idea that I think Ezekiel Elliott's like, oh, we needed this loss to like wake us up.
Yeah,
I thought that was that's a funny kind of thing. For him to say. But I mean, I guess it's a good attitude for him to have, but it's like, man, you guys got beat up badly, and you're like, oh, this is a good thing. Yeah, I'm not sure it's a good thing. Especially because now that the Eagles are kind of still lurking behind you there, and strange things can happen. You can end up losing the division, like none of us thought would happen a couple weeks ago. I still, with Tampa Bay, I still feel like this is a team that can score points. And I'm still I don't know. I guess I'm still not sold on the Cowboys as a world beater. I don't think. I'm not sure anybody really thinks that this is a really, really great team. I know the Buccaneers offense hasn't played great lately, but for what we saw earlier in the year, I just have a hard time getting that out of my head that this is a team that can still score points. It's silly because they haven't been scoring points lately, but I think in the back of my head, I'm still thinking that. And I have the Cowboys straight up here.
Okay.
I do have the Buccaneers at plus 7. Is that what it is? I'm sorry.
Yep, it was 7, yes.
I'm looking at what I had it at. Yeah, plus 7. I don't know. I just don't think this is a tough game for me because the plus 7 is right on the borderline for me.
Right.
But and the Cowboys are really good at home, but and the Buccaneers suck on the road. So it does seem pretty obvious the Cowboys are going to win big here, but I don't see it.
And to your point, the last 2 weeks they've played the Saints and the Ravens, and they scored 14 and 12. They do have pretty good. They do have a pretty good offense, and they can score. Yeah. I think the Dallas defense is pretty good. I'm curious if they get back to full strength before the playoffs, and Irving comes back and Lee's not limited anymore and all that. I don't know. They're an interesting. They're just a more interesting playoff team than I thought. I actually have become over this year. I'm more of a Dak fan than I was before. He's better. Like I came into this year going, you know what? He's not. I mean, I knew that the first year was a little misleading. That people thought he was some kind of, not superstar, but really, really good. I didn't think that. I just thought he was in a great situation. And he was kind of okay. And last year I went, see, they caught up to him. I don't know. I like him more than I thought I would. Like he's a guy who I think they keep him long-term, they're going to be okay.
I don't see it. The fact Jared Jones saying they're going to give him a big extension, I think that's a bad thing. But I mean, is he a guy you'd rather have than considering the quarterback class coming out in the draft next year, it's not supposed to be very good. Would you rather have him or have some other guy who does not prove in the league? I guess you'd probably rather have Dak. I think Amari Cooper has made that team a lot better. I think Amari Cooper has made him a better quarterback for some reason. But long term, I'm still not buying it yet.
Okay. I mean, I do think to what you just said, look, there's merit. Some of the teams that are doing well, I mean, they're kind of using the model of the quarterback on the cheap rookie contract, and spending the money elsewhere. Which is
for Seattle. And that's one of Seattle's greatest accomplishments was doing that with Russell Wilson.
Right. And the Rams are doing it now. The Chiefs are doing it right now. I mean, everybody can't be Mahomes, but it seems to it's an interesting way to build a team, which is why some of the teams like the Giants, who I like to pick on, thinking about keeping Eli Manning for $23 million next year is insanity.
Yeah, no, it's an interest. You're right. It is interesting. But then you look at, you always have Tom Brady, who's, you have Aaron Rodgers, who obviously this year they're not very good, but a guy who's always, one of the best ever and can lead that team back to playoff glory maybe. But I don't know. I guess you look at a team like the Falcons with Matt Ryan and they're paying him so much money, and you're like, well, what'd you get out of that? I mean, Matt Ryan's really good, I think, but the rest of the team suffers because you pay him so much money.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a lot of money.
And we'll see what happens with the Buccaneers. I mean, when they got to pay Winston, and we'll see if they want to pay him or they want to go the cheaper route.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's an interesting trend, and it has. I mean, like I said, it worked for Seattle. I just don't think, as far as the Cowboys are concerned, I don't think they have enough offensive weapons around him to make it work. I mean, obviously Amari Cooper's been great, but I feel like at some point the league will catch up to that, and you'll need something else. But I don't know.
Okay. All right. You got the Bucks against the spread. I've got the Cowboys against the spread right now. NFLPickwatch.com. We've got 65% of the experts taking the Cowboys, giving the points. 63% of the fans, the Cowboys give. Well, that's a uniformity. There's no disagreement between the experts and the fans yet. Okay. Bills Pats. This opened at Pats by 10.5. It is now Pats by 13.5. Over under 45.5. The Pats have been a different team at home. They're 6-0 at home, 3-5 on the road. I've been saying all year they're a step below their usual dominant selves, I think. And last week helped show that a little bit more for me. I know that was a tough spot. Big news for the Pats. Josh Gordon says he's stepping away from football. There's reports that he might have failed another test and be subject to suspension. Whatever it is, get well soon, Josh Gordon. But football-wise, that we have to look at now, they're going to be without Josh Gordon, which takes away a deep threat. The Bills, I don't know who's going to play running back for them this week. I think LaShawn McCoy might play because they got like 3 guys hurt last week. But it sounds like McCoy's been limited in practice. The Bills have been a little better at home, but Josh Allen's been fun. Like I keep saying, he's real life quarterback. He's interesting and he can run. I don't know that I want him throwing the ball to anybody with any degree of accuracy, but I don't know. I've been a Bills supporter in some spots this year, especially at home. And I'm not as high on the Pats as some people because, like I said, I think they're a step off. But I think they take care of business this week against the Bills.
You know, I think, like you said, the Pats are a step off. I think the Bills are a little better than we thought. I mean, the Bills have won 3 of their last 5 games, which is pretty crazy. They have some pretty big road wins too. They beat the Vikings on the road. They destroyed the Jets on the road. Now, obviously, those teams are not the caliber of the Patriots, but this is a team that doesn't need to be at home to win. Right. I guess is my point. So you combine those two things. I don't know. I like the Bills against the spread here. I like them at 13.5. Obviously, the Patriots are I like straight up, but there's something wrong with the Patriots. I mean, they're just not. I mean, they'll probably get that. I mean, they could get home field advantage in the playoffs, and you know they could make a run. But I mean, Brady looks kind of old. Hasn't been playing great. I mean, there are stretches during the last 5 years where he would play badly, like, oh man, that guy's getting old. And then he would kind of turn around, and maybe he will this year too. But the dude's 41 years old, and you got at some point he's just not going to be a great player anymore. And you kind of wonder if he's at that spot right now. You know, Gronkowski is not the same guy he was. I mean, they're just talk about he's going to retire for this year possibly just because he's so beat up. You know, Patriots have lost 2 straight. Josh Gordon. I mean, Josh Gordon gave him a lot of options. He was, I mean, for all of his off-field problems, the dude was a really, really good receiver when he was on the field.
Yep.
So, you know, they've lost a lot. I mean, I don't know. I just, like I said, I think the Patriots are going to win, but it'd be closer than we think. I mean, Bills sometimes play Patriots closer than we all think. And the Bills are just a little bit better than we think. And I don't know. I think 13.5 is – I can see why you go the Patriots because the Patriots could come out and beat them 42-10. But I'm not sure it's going to happen.
All right. I think it is, but I'm kind of with you. I'm not completely confident in this pick. This is not – I mean, this is one of those where you got to pick someone. I don't love this game, and I'd rather avoid it if I could. Right now on NFLPickwatch.com, the spread that I'm seeing is 12.5 on Pickwatch.com, but I'm seeing 13.5 other places. I think Sean and the team will update this later. 61% of the experts have the Pats given the points, and 51% of the fans have the Pats given the points. So the fans like the Bills a little more. Next up, Falcons-Panthers. Okay, so the big news here, Cam Newton shut down. Taylor Heineke is in playing quarterback. This opened at Panthers -3.5 with the over-under 50.5. It is now Falcons -3, over-under 43.5. Points way down. Falcons now favored. Makes perfect sense. The Falcons had lost 5 straight before blowing out the Cardinals at home. Falcons, however, 1-5 on the road. They lost Ito Smith, not a huge deal. Tevin Coleman played well last week. Julio Jones didn't practice Thursday. I think he's going to be okay. So this game, it's weird. Early in the week, I said, look, I knew what was going to happen with Cam, or we were so after Monday night, you could see something was wrong. Mm-hmm. And when I saw the spread opened at Panthers -3, I said, jump on. Brian and I talked about Tuesday. I said to everybody, jump on the Falcons right now because the line's going to change, and it did. Now, you got to buy that the Falcons are going to win and cover. Are you ready to buy that?
You know, when I first made my pick, it was Atlanta was +2.5, and I picked them then.
Yep.
So I feel pretty good about them. And as far as them not being a favorite, I feel pretty good about picking them straight up. I like them. I like them here. You know, I just – you know, I feel like I've been a Falcons apologist all year long, and that's been bad for my record because I think I'm awful picking the Falcons. Although I did get last week right, so that was good. That just shows you how bad the Cardinals are. But you know, The Falcons team can score some points. I don't know. Without Cam, I think one reason I was kind of not hesitant to pick the Falcons in the first place was because Cam was hurting. We knew Cam was hurting, so that didn't. Now that he's officially out, I'm not sure how much that factors into my thinking anyway. Because I didn't think I think he was going to be hurt anyway and be relatively ineffective. What do you know about Taylor Heineke? I don't know anything about him.
He was the interesting thing with him is that they brought him in because he was with Norv Turner in Minnesota as a third stringer. So he knows the system. So I think that was the appeal. He can run a little bit. I mean, he's not a huge guy, and his arm strength is, it's kind of okay. But he can run a little bit. I actually saw the stat the other day. I was looking at his college stats because I hadn't really looked at him before. In his sophomore year, he went to Old Dominion. In his sophomore year, he ran for 470 yards and 11 touchdowns. And he was playing in a spread and whatever. I mean, he's athletic. And I wonder if he'll make some plays with his feet. The thing about the Panthers here, I know part of me, because I'm a little bit of a homer about the Panthers. I'm trying to talk myself into this one and see how he can play well. And I think is because of Cam's issues, they've gotten worse lately. But for most of the year, it's been kind of a short to intermediate passing game anyway. Mm-hmm. I mean, Heineke's arm strength to fire the ball downfield. Look, Monday night, the Saints basically said, we don't think you can throw the ball 20 yards and we're going to squat on short routes and dare him to go over. And he couldn't. I don't know that it's that extreme with this guy this week because he's healthy, but I think there's still going to be a short to intermediate passing game, so his arm strength's not going to be that big of a factor. I don't know. I mean, you hear good things about, he's smart and all that stuff, and I don't know how much that's. I mean, probably most quarterbacks are, but he's mobile, and I wonder how that might factor in. But you're going to see a lot of Christian McCaffrey, a lot.
Do you know, without looking, do you know who his backup is now?
Kyle Allen.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because you live in Carolina, I guess you probably know that anyway. I wonder how many people would know that Kyle Allen is going to be Taylor Heineke's backup.
He was at Texas A&M, right, and left? Isn't that his story?
He was at Texas A&M. I don't know.
I think he left the team, and then he was trying out for people as a free agent or something. But he was one of those guys who was a top recruit when he was in a high school, and things in college didn't pan out. I don't have all the details, so that's all you're getting out of me on that one. So I don't know. I think the logical play is the Falcons with the backup quarterback playing, but neither team has played well. I mean, these two teams combined have lost in the last 6 weeks, have won 1 out of 12 games. It's terrible. And the only win was the Falcons beating the Cardinals at home. So these are two just
bad teams
right now. I could see the Panthers pulling this out, but I might be talking myself into it.
I don't know. A bad team with a good quarterback versus a bad team with an unknown quarterback. I'm going to go with a bad team with a good quarterback.
I'm with you. That's the smart play. So, all right. Right now, NFLPickwatch.com, we have 77% of the experts like the Falcons, and 63% of the fans like the Falcons. But on NFLPickwatch.com, we've still got this at Carolina -2.5. So I think that's going to change. If you haven't made your pick yet, you're going to get a different spread pretty soon. Okay.
It could be at some point like Falcons -5, Falcons -6. So
yeah.
It'd be good to get it now.
Jags Dolphins. Dolphins by 4. I think it opened at 5. Let me make sure of that one, of what it opened at. It opened at 4. Okay. I saw it at 5 at one point. Dolphins by 4, over under 38. The Jags have lost 9 out of 10. Leonard Fournette sat most of the second half last week. Sounds like he hurt his ankle, but sounds like he's okay. Cody Kessler starting again. I don't know why. I mean, I know Bortles is bad. I think Kessler might be worse, but we know whatever. The Dolphins with Tannehill have been kind of okay. 5-4 with Tannehill. I know they haven't played as well lately. Frank Gore's out for the season. Kalen Ballage is going to get a lot of work. And he had that big long touchdown run last week. When I saw this line, all year long I've been bashing the Dolphins, saying I've been treating them like a bad team. And at 7-7, I know they're worse lately. I can't treat them like a bad team anymore. They're maybe a little below average. I think the Jags are kind of bad. I looked at this spread and I was like, Really? 4? They're only favored by 4 at home against the Jags against Cody Kessler. That made no sense to me when I saw it. Did it make sense to you?
No.
Okay.
No, it didn't make any sense. This was like, it felt like a slam dunk to me. To go with the Dolphins here. Like, Jacksonville sucks. I mean, Jacksonville is really bad. So I don't, and the Dolphins don't. I mean, the Dolphins are okay. Especially with Tannehill. I mean, we said last week, I think he's like, in his last 16 starts, he was 12-4, I believe, and obviously it was last week to Minnesota, so I guess 12-5 now. But I don't know. I don't see why this game was 4. God damn it. John, when you're trying to look up websites during a podcast and they keep auto-playing videos, it's really annoying.
Oh, it's so annoying.
So
those times when I just nod my head and I pretend you're not sure if I'm really listening to you, that's what's happening.
It's like somebody talking in your ear on a news broadcast. I never had to really have to deal with that, so now I think that would be difficult. Anyway, yeah, I don't see Jacksonville hanging around here. Like you said, I think I like the Dolphins a little more than I think I should.
Yep.
I think this is an easy one, man, to be honest with you.
I do too. And I think it's for all the Adam Gase bashers. Hey, maybe I'm not criticizing you. You might be right that he's not good. If you're a Dolphins fan, I don't watch him as closely as you do, but they might wind up 8-8. I don't know if you can ditch a guy after 8-8, but I guess we'll see. All right, so right now on NFLPickwatch.com, 77% of the experts have the Dolphins given the points. 70% of the fans have the Dolphins given the points. Giants-Colts. Colts favored by 9, over-under 47. Colts have won 7 out of 8. The only loss was that one at Jacksonville a couple weeks ago. Odell Beckham did not practice again on Thursday. Pat Shurmur made a point of saying he was not shutting Beckham down, but that does not necessarily mean Beckham's going to play this week. Last week, so 2 weeks without Beckham, they had a huge win at Washington where they scored 40, and then they got home last week and they got shut out by the Titans. So, by the way, we were talking about playoff berths here. If the Ravens lose, there is a pretty decent chance that we could get that the Sunday night game, because the Sunday night game in week 17 is always the one with the biggest playoff implications. We could get Colts Titans for the 6th seed next Sunday night because they both look like they're going to win this week. And if the Ravens lose, then the Ravens are on the outside looking in.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I like the Colts, man. I think the Colts have done some good things this year. Maybe against some odds that people didn't, thought that they would not be very good. Andrew Luck, I just like watching him play. Maybe even having a bad game, he's just fun to watch, and he's fun to listen to afterward in the press conference. He's if you watch him in the press conferences afterward, he's just a guy who's like, it's kind of this oafy dude who's like just kind of funny and just loves to be there, and like he's got this. Even when they lose, he's like, he's just fun to watch.
Right.
I don't know.
Do you watch do you follow the someone has a Twitter account? It's like Major General Andrew Luck.
Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorites, man.
I'd love it. With the Civil War outfit, and my dearest Gertrude.
Right, writing letters back home from the Civil War.
Giants from New York are upon us. It's really funny.
It's great. It's one of my favorites, man. It's such a good account. It was so sad, like when he was injured last year. Like all of those tweets were basically, "Dear mother, my sidearm is still, I'm still looking for my sidearm or whatever it was. It was always trying to find his sidearm and trying to get back to action. But no, it's a great Twitter account. I like. The Giants have played well lately, with the exception of last week. So I feel like this will be a little bit closer than 9. I like the Colts to win, but I think the Giants are going to keep it a little closer than that.
All right, I'm reserved right now. I have the Colts. I think without Beckham, I could change my mind. Let's put it that way. If Beckham plays, I could swing back to the Giants, but without him, I think I'm going Colts. And hopefully the Giants use Saquon more than last week, because last week I know they were losing, but if Beckham's out, I mean, Saquon's got to just get force-fed, and that's not what they did. So, all right.
When did they been in the running game last week? Was it?
I think it was most of the second half they've been. I mean, I think what do they have? 14 runs and 45 passes or something. Which, when you have a 38-year-old quarterback that's declining is not a great place to be,
No,
even if you're losing. You probably have more chances for big chunks giving the ball to Barkley than you do Eli throwing it, especially without Beckham in.
Even if you're down like 14-0 or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, they weren't down 34-0. So, yeah, I agree with you. We've got NFLPickwatch.com. 54% of the experts like the Colts giving the points. 56% of the fans like the Colts giving the points. Everybody agrees on everything. Kumbaya. Texans, Eagles. This is at Philly. Eagles favored by 1.5, over under 46. Nick Foles played well last week in place of Carson Wentz. He's going to start again. The Eagles are in the mix. The Eagles are 7-7. They saved their season. It looked like they were, basically on a death march going to play the Rams on the road. And I know it was 30-23. They crushed the Rams. They just beat them up. The Rams got it back and they cut it to one score and they actually had the ball at the end with a chance to tie. I don't care. The Eagles in the trenches they knocked them around, and they played pretty well. Texans, Lamar Miller, limited in practice. We're not sure what he's going to be this week. That's probably not good for them because Alfred Blue is just such a plotter and there's nothing really that good about him. So the status for these teams, Houston's still leading the AFC South. The Eagles, they need to win out and have either the Cowboys have to lose 2 or the Vikings have to lose 1. So those are the paths to the playoffs for the Eagles. This is a huge game for the Eagles.
It's a fun little deal last week when they're asking Nick Foles about, hey, this kind of seems similar to last year. Quarterback comes in, when he's needed the most, and he leads them to victory. And I don't know if you look at the Ringer, but they had a headline this week that said, "Are we back in that weird timeline where Nick Foles is good?" It's funny, like this is Nick Foles' time to shine. It's really pretty crazy,
right?
And Foles said, "Well, I'm not trying to think about it. I'm just trying to stay in the moment with this," which is, I guess, the right thing to say. I don't know. I don't see it happening for the Eagles. I don't see them making the playoffs. I think the Texans are going to win outright this week.
Okay.
I've come to, coming off that long winning streak where they were, we kind of talked about how it was just, I've heard other people say it was like the worst 9-game winning streak in history or whatever it is. Which is pretty funny.
You're going to have the Texans fans bashing you again on the YouTube.
I don't want that. No, I don't want that. I'm going with the Texans this week, man. I think Houston's going to win. I like Houston at this point. I think, they're going to I think they could make some noise in the playoffs.
Right.
With that defense and with I don't know. I've kind of come around them a little bit. I see with the Eagles, obviously the Eagles played well last week. There's just so much time we've seen of them this year that they just haven't been good.
Right.
And I just have a hard time wrapping my head around that the fact that they may be competing for a division title. I just don't see it.
Okay.
You gotta go. It's a tough game. It's in Philly, so it'll be tougher. But I like Houston here. Straight up and against the spread.
I like the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to step up in the must-win spot and get it done. Though I was impressed with the way they played last week.
Make the playoffs, or you think?
I don't know. It depends on the Vikings, right? I mean, the Eagles, it's out of their hands. And the Eagles play the Redskins in week 17, so that's probably a win.
Yeah.
The Cowboys probably going to beat the Bucs, so that's going to eliminate that path. So now it's all about the Vikings. And the Vikings they're home they're at Detroit this week, and they're home for the Bears next week. So part of this is going to depend on what the Bears situation is. Like, there's a chance that the Bears could be locked in at number 3. If they happen to lose at San Francisco, then I think they're going to be locked in. So you can see them resting people. So I don't know. Like, it's a to be determined on the Eagles. The thing is, it's not in their hands. They could win 2, and it might not matter. Anyway, we've got NFLPickwatch.com. 55% of the experts like the Eagles getting the points. Given or getting? Hold on. They're favored by 2.5 at this point on what we have on Pickwatch. 59% of the fans like the Eagles giving the points. Okay, next up. Vikings-Lions, speaking of them. Vikings by 6 at Detroit, over under 42.5. The Vikings, haven't been good on the road, 2-4-1. Like I said, if they win out in those 2 games, which is, again, at Detroit and home for the Bears, they're in the playoffs. So last week, they came out after they fired their offense coordinator, and they ran, which is what Zimmer wanted to do, and they crushed the Dolphins at home. I don't trust these guys one bit. Early in the year, I was a big fan, and I kept thinking, they're going to be an elite team with this and that. I know they played well last week. I don't trust them.
Well, I trust them against the Lions.
Okay.
The Lions have been – you keep wanting to think the Lions are going to win these games they should be winning, and then they come out and they lose. And you're like, what happened? Like, this is a team that should be okay. But then they come out and, they lose to the Bills, or I don't know. Actually, they have a bunch of pretty good – I mean, they have, everybody they've lost who's actually pretty good, except for maybe the 49ers and the Jets.
Right. That's the thing. Their schedule's been tough. They had a string of losses that were all the tough teams.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But I don't trust them at all. I think it's we've seen it a couple of times this year when a new offensive coordinator comes in, or really when a new offensive coordinator is elevated to replace their fired offensive coordinator, that this team has had some success. We saw that early, when the Cardinals a little bit with Byron Leftwich when he came in, and we've seen it a few other times. So, losing to Filippo, I think, and Zimmer having the ability to kind of put in a guy who's going to do what he wants, maybe a good thing. I think Mike Zimmer's a really good coach. I think Mike Zimmer knows what he's talking about. I think if Mike Zimmer says to do something, you kind of do it because he knows what he's talking about. So, from that perspective, from this kind of run first mentality, especially when you have a guy like Dalvin Cook and Latavius Murray, I think you go with that way. And I don't know. Like I said, if this was next, week 17 they got the Bears, so that's a different story. Whether or not you trust them against the Bears, I do trust them against the Lions. I don't think they're going to have an issue, even at -6. You have Detroit, right?
I have Detroit. Yeah, I don't trust the Vikings on the road.
You trust the Vikings to lose by less than a touchdown, I guess?
I think they're gonna. I think the line. I like the Lions to cover. I don't know how much I like them to win. I think it's a tough game. So 6 is a little much for me with the Vikings. So we've got on NFLPickwatch.com, 71% of the experts like the Vikings given the points. 64% of the fans like the Vikings given the points. So they're with you. Okay.
It's one of the first times they've been with me all day.
Folks, we are at about 42 minutes and we have 7 games left, so we're going to pick up the pace a little bit on the game. I love talking to Josh, but we don't want you to watch for an hour and 15 minutes. Packers Jets.
That is the worst, by the way. Before let me go off on a tangent real quick about podcasts that go way too long, right? The podcast is supposed to be 55 minutes. Why is it an hour 30? You don't have time to listen to it for an hour 30.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. But anyway, go ahead.
That's us right there. We are what we
we become what we hate.
Yes. All right, Packers by 3 at the Jets, over under 47. Packers are 0-7 on the road, by the way. 1-5-1 against spread on the road. The Jets have lost 7 out of 8. I will say I think Sam Darnold looked good last week against the Texans. I thought he had a nice game, even though they didn't win or didn't cover. But he had him in position to win. I thought he played pretty well. Aaron Jones out for the Packers, so you get to see Jamal Williams in the backfield. Aaron Rodgers says he'll play. There was questions about shutting him down. He's apparently hurt, has groin and knee bothering him. Sounds like he's going to play. I think you'd want to watch it over the weekend because the stuff I heard this week, I was like, okay, I think he's going to play, but I'm not 100% sure. I look at this. I don't like the Packers. I'm saying all year I don't think the Packers are a good team. But this spread, I think the Jets are worse. I don't know. I know the Jets played a tough game against the Texans, which leads you to think they could beat the Packers. I don't know. I just kind of like the Packers here. I thought they played a decent game in their first game without McCarthy. I don't love this one, but I'll take the Packers. I think the spread's too small.
Yeah, I do too. As long as Aaron Rodgers is out there, I'm going to – if Aaron Rodgers is out, yeah, I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer to kind of turn it back around. But with Aaron Rodgers out there, you hate losing Aaron Jones because he has been pretty good this year.
Yeah.
That made me kind of squeamish, like to think, I don't know. I don't know. I think, like you said, I think the spread's too small with Aaron Rodgers, even if he's not healthy. I mean, he hasn't been healthy for a lot of the year, and he still played pretty, especially early in the year, he still played pretty well. I can't believe that the Packers are 0-7 in the road. It's crazy.
Yeah.
They'll get the win here. I think this is. I feel okay picking this game at Packers at -3.
Yeah, I'm actually having second thought. Looking at this right now, I'm having second thoughts. I'm going to say the Packers for now.
Why? Why?
I mean, they're 0-7 on the road. They're a team. What I've been saying all year. What are they? They're 5-8-1 right now, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
5-8-1, and They had a miracle comeback against the Bears with Rodgers on one leg. And they had a big leg comeback against the Niners that could have gone either way. I mean, they could be 3-10-1 pretty easily.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I might switch this one Sunday morning. That's where I am.
I guess people can tune in at 11:45 a.m. to find out, right?
That's right. All right. So right now we both have the Packers. Like I said, I might switch. Fair warning. Right now we have 52% of the experts like the Jets, and we've got it at Pick'em on NFLPickwatch.com right now. Let me see what we have. Vegas Insiders, where I know Josh gets, where Sean gets things. It's at 3. So, all right. So 52% of the experts have the Jets. 71% of fans have the Packers. That's the first major disagreement between the fans and the experts. Bengals, Browns. Browns by, it started at 7 points. Browns by 8.5. Over-unders 44.5. The Browns are 4-1 against the spread and straight up in their last 5. The Bengals had lost 5 straight before beating the Raiders at home. Yippee, big deal. They beat the Raiders. Jeff Driscoll's not playing that well. Mixon's getting the ball. Mixon's getting all he can handle because they have nothing left. I mean, Tyler Boyd's probably out this week. AJ Green's already out. Tyler Eifert's already out. So John Ross is their best receiver. We could, at 4 p.m. on Sunday, the Cleveland Browns could be a 500 football team. That's awesome.
I picked the Bengals against the spread at -7 or +7 for them. So I love them at +8.5. Who did I pick straight up?
Why do you like them? They're bad.
I don't know. Yeah, they are. I'm trying to.
Is it the Browns? Or do you have no faith in the Browns?
I think it's God. I had Cincinnati straight up too. Cool. Why did I do that? I think I've seen enough games in this Ohio rivalry that I know strange things happen. The Browns have beaten the Bengals a few times when they're not supposed to. I don't really have a great explanation. Sometimes you just gotta go by the gut feel, man.
Okay, that's fair. If that's what it is, that's fine. I didn't know if there was a logical explanation. Not saying it needs to be a logical explanation, but
there is a logical. My logical explanation: Hugh Jackson's coming back home, baby, and that's gonna fire up that Bengals team.
That's an advertisement for the Browns, right there.
That Hugh emotion to victory. And when Baker Mayfield's gonna come over and try and shake Hugh Jackson's hand this time, Hugh Jackson's gonna give one of those like shake and then fake out to wipe your hair away. That's what's gonna be like. Bet
the house on the Browns now. If you think that's what's gonna happen, just all of it, every bit, everything you have.
It's called the Factory of Sadness for a reason.
No more. Baker Mayfield is not LeBron James is taking Cleveland out of the Factory of Sadness. Baker Mayfield is.
Hugh Jackson's gonna rip that team's heart out for the 14,000th time. This time he's just on the other side. This time,
I think he ripped their heart out in training camp. I don't know about now.
No, for sure.
All right. So Josh has the Bengals with points. I have the Browns. Right now we have 52% of the experts like the Browns giving the points. 51% of fans like the Browns giving the points. I think you all just don't think the Browns are good enough to be given a touchdown to anybody. I think that's what it is. Rams, Cardinals. Rams now by 14.5. This spread, I want to see where it started. Oh, it started at 15.5. I know it went down to 13.5 at one point, or 14. Now it's 14.5. Over-unders at 44.5. These teams played in week 2 at LA. The Rams won 34-0. The Rams are 1-5-1 against spread in their last time. They're not covering. They're not dominating. They've kind of slowed down just a little. And I don't know if it's slump or what. They played some good teams in that stretch. So, but they're not playing as great as they were early. Cardinals are terrible. Worst point differential in the league. 1-4 against spread in their last 5. Todd Gurley, by the way, knee inflammation, says he's going to play, but it's bothering him a little bit. So if they're winning by a lot at halftime, maybe he comes out. I don't know that matters here. I think this is too many points to give the way the Rams are playing, and I completely understand that that makes me give some credit to a team that's been horrendously awful.
Yeah. The Rams, even when the Rams were playing well, they weren't blowing teams out. They were winning games by 5 or 7 or. So even when they were playing well, they weren't blowing teams out. So the fact that they haven't, it doesn't really bother me. I don't have a problem going with the Rams this week. I think it has more to do with the Cardinals. The Cardinals are just so bad that if this spread, I think was, I don't know. I think even this spread was like 16 or 17. I'd still go with the Rams here, just because I just think the Cardinals are that bad.
Okay. I think you might be right, but I'm taking the Cardinals anyway because I think 2 touchdowns at home is more than I want to give to just about anybody. Right now we've got NFLPickwatch.com. 61% of the experts like the Rams giving the points. 60% of the fans like the Rams giving the points, so they agree with you. Bears-Niners. Bears by 4, over-under 43. Niners are 4-3 at home, 0-7 on the road, so stronger at home. Bears, on the other hand, 7-1 at home, 3-3 on the road. I don't know. Take that however you want. The Bears won 7 out of 8. The only loss was the overtime loss to the Giants, which was the game Chase Daniel played, the second start from Chase Daniel. The Niners the last 2 weeks, I think both at home, they've beaten Denver and Seattle. So Kyle Shanahan's a good coach.
Yeah,
like that's a team. I mean, what people love his play calling. People who watch film love his play calling. The kicker for me here, the thing with him that makes me so impressed as an offensive coach, he is making Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins was like an undrafted free agent or a 7th round, but I think he was an undrafted free agent out of Southern Miss, and he threw a bunch of picks in training camp. He was a 3rd string quarterback, and he's right now looking like a competent NFL quarterback. And that is a complete testament to Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, I mean, he's a 3rd string guy coming in. I mean, after Garoppolo and C.J. Beathard, and he didn't miss a beat. His passer rate in the last couple, he's in 6 starts, he's gone over 102 passer rating in 3 of those starts. He's a guy who, for the most part, has taken care of the ball. Well, he does have six picks, but he's throwing a lot of touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, he's not going. I don't think he's ever going to be a great quarterback, but Shanahan has made him look pretty good.
Yep.
It's been pretty impressive, and what they've done the last 2 weeks, winning games where I certainly didn't think they'd win either of those games, against Denver and certainly against Seattle. And when I saw that Seattle score, I was shocked that San Francisco pulled it out.
Yep.
What did I pick? I'm still going with the Bears this week, with the -4. I just think the Bears defense is really, really good. And Trubisky's been serviceable. He's been fine. I think the Bears are going to be a really, really tough team to play in the playoffs. And even going on the road in San Francisco, which has not been an easy place to play this year for a lot of teams, I like the Bears here. I just think the Bears are too dominant. Even though the road record isn't great, I really like that defense.
Okay. Here, I do too. And I think they're going to be tough out in the playoffs. I agree with what you're saying. Here's the Bears on the road. They lost that game at Green Bay early, week 1. They won by 2 at Arizona. They lost at Miami. They won in a blowout at Buffalo in the Peterman game. They won on Thanksgiving Day in a game that was very tight late. They lost to the Giants. I'm just looking at this. I think the Bears might win, but I think if they win, it'll most likely be close. And I'm no way the Niners have been playing. I don't want to give that many points. I mean, it's not a ton of points. It's only 4. But that's kind of where I am on this game. Bears winning wouldn't surprise me. I just think it's more likely than not to be a pretty close game.
Okay.
So we've got NFLPickwatch.com. 71% of the experts like the Bears giving the points. 70% of the fans like the Bears giving the points. I feel like everybody's against me this week. I'm on my own. So whatever. Steelers Saints by 6. Over under 53. It opened at 56. It's gone down. Quick injury note. We're recording this. If you're not watching live on Facebook, right now I'm talking about 8 o'clock Eastern on Friday. Juju Smith-Schuster left Thursday's practice with a groin issue. There's not really a lot of word that I've seen this morning, at least, on how serious it is. So you're going to pay attention to that over the weekend. That could affect the Steelers. Sounds like James Conner won't be ready to go, and we're going to see Jalen Samuels again. He played really well last week. The Saints offense has not been clicking for the last month. They've been just okay. I mean, this over-under suggests that they're going to get back on the horse here. I don't know. They're just – and at home, they're different at home. And most of these games have been on the road, other than the Thanksgiving Day game. But they're not – they look like an unstoppable offensive force early in the season. And their defense is still playing pretty well, but the offense has kind of slowed down a bit. And I wonder what do you think they're going to bounce back this week?
I kind of do think that. I think they are probably the best team in the league. I think at this point, I would pick them to win the Super Bowl. And you're right. Losing to the Cowboys was a bad loss, and they didn't look so great against the Panthers. Although their defense was pretty good. The Saints defense was pretty good against the Panthers. I still like New Orleans. They have one day less of rest than the Steelers come off that Monday night game. But and I know Pittsburgh's kind of coming off that high last week with the win at versus New England. But I'm not sure the Steelers are. It's kind of a tough thing to ask them to win like back-to-back really, really tough games like they're going to have to do.
Yeah.
But they're going to have to do it. I mean, just to make sure they win that division. But
right.
I don't know. New Orleans is still pretty good against. They're 10-4. They're 10-4 against the spread this year. New Orleans is, and I don't know. It's just, I like New Orleans straight up. I guess I think it's going to be a close game because I'm going with the Steelers against the spread.
I agree with you. I'm the same way. I could see this as kind of a toss-up, and I don't want to give that many points. We've got on NFL Pickwatch.
I think the Saints are going to win. I'm pretty confident that the Saints are going to win. I just don't know. I don't like them winning by 6. I guess. I mean,
okay. I think that's fair.
Feels a weird spin.
NFLPickwatch.com, 74% like the Saints, given the points. That's the experts. 57% of the fans like the Saints, given the points. So you and I are against the grain a bit on this one. Next, Sunday night, Chiefs Seahawks at Seattle. Chiefs favored by 2.5. Over-under is 54.5. Chiefs 1-4-1 against spread in their last 5. Overall on the road, though, they're 5-1-1 against spread on the road. The Seahawks had won 4 straight before losing at San Francisco last week that we just talked about. But at home, they've been 4-1-1 against the spread. By the way, a little note, over-under, 5 of the last 6 for both teams have gone over. Spencer Ware might be back this week for the Chiefs. They did just fine with Damian Williams last week offensively, even though they lost. This is a tough game. It's a fun game.
Yeah.
I'm leaning Chiefs, but, I think it's just close. I think it's a close game. The Chiefs are a little better, even on the road here. But this is another one. If I was picking 5 games, this would not be one of them.
Yeah, no, I agree. This is a tough game, I think. I'm still interested in seeing kind of how the Chiefs respond in their running game without Kareem Hunt. They haven't been quite as good. I mean, quite frankly, they're not as good right now without him in the lineup. And obviously, I'm not, he's not coming back, nor should he come back. So that's just something they're going to have to deal with. But I guess, they played Baltimore as a really, really good defense. They ended up winning that game 2 weeks ago. The Chargers are a good defense as well, and they ended up losing that game by a point. But here they've been extra a couple of days to because they played the game on Thursday last week. They had a couple extra days against this kind of prepare for the Seahawks and trying to figure it out. I think what is it, 2.5?
Yep.
If you're going with the Chiefs, I think wholeheartly the Chiefs are going to win. So if you're picking them to win, you're not going to go with the Seahawks here. So I think it's a pretty easy call. It's a tough, like I said, it's a tough game. But when you think of it in terms like, well, they're going to win probably, and it's not like the Seahawks are going to. You can't bet them to lose by 1 or 2. So this is a pretty easy call, I think.
Okay. The one stat I wanted to check on the Chiefs real quick, their run defense. They have given up, it's 5 yards a carry, and the Seahawks run the ball more than anyone in the league, or just about more than anyone in the league. So just food for thought that the matchup here, the Chiefs can be run on, and the Seahawks run pretty well. So
their run defense is still a little better than their pass defense.
They're not. So. Yeah, their defense is not good.
Statistically, anyway.
We're going with the Chiefs right now. 61% of the experts like the Seahawks, given the points. 54% of the fans like the Seahawks, given the points. All right, last game Monday night. Broncos Raiders. Broncos favored by 3. Over under 43. Broncos are 6-3 against the spread in their last 9. They fell out of the playoff race with 2 losses recently. That loss to Cleveland was a tough one. They lost to the Niners, I think, the week before. The Raiders are 3-7 against the spread in their last 10. The Raiders' home schedule has been look, all the games haven't been close. It's not like I'm saying, they're losing all these tough games to good teams. Their home schedule has been brutal.
Yeah.
Listen to this. I'm gonna go through it real quick. Pull it up. The Raiders' home schedule has been, all right, they lost to the Rams. They got blown out week 1. They beat the Browns in that controversial play with the fumble. They lost to Seattle by a lot. They lost to the Colts by a couple of touchdowns. They lost to the Chargers by 2 touchdowns. They lost to the Chiefs by a touchdown. They lost to the Steelers by a field goal.
They beat the
Steelers by a field goal. Yeah. I mean, the record's not good, but I mean, they played – the Broncos are arguably the worst team they've played at home.
Yeah, that's right. The way I look at it is these are teams, they're not going in opposite directions, but the Broncos are going downhill and the Raiders are kind of puttering along.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, like, who would you rather have as a coach this week? Would you rather have Vance Joseph or would you rather have John Gruden? And I don't have John Gruden, to be honest with you.
I don't know. That's hard. I mean, I think John Gruden.
Yeah.
Because I think people I know who watch the Broncos closely seem to think Vance Joseph is an especially bad coach.
Yeah.
I don't think I've watched them enough to have a judgment on that.
That's what they say. And Gruden, I think we've talked about this. I think Gruden's certainly a better coach than he is a GM from what we can tell so far. So I feel pretty confident saying that I have John Gruden on my sideline than Vance Joseph. I like the Raiders straight up here. I like a little bit of an upset. I just think like I said, the Broncos are just kind of tail spinning, and there's no reason why I think they're going to win this game. The Raiders are just the Raiders are okay at home, and I think they're gonna get a big win here, I think.
Yeah, I kind of like the Raiders here. Like, this is one of those. If I had to pick 5, I might pick the Raiders here, just because I think the Broncos going on the road. This is not a great spot for them. All right, NFLPickwatch.com. 55% of the experts have the Broncos giving the points. 51% of the fans, the Broncos giving the points. That's basically a toss-up. All right, so right now, among the fans, the most popular picks are 71% Packers, 70% Bears, and Dolphins. If you want to go against the grain, maybe the Jets, maybe the Niners. I don't know about the Jags. I don't think either one of us would counsel that as an against the grain pick. The other one, the experts, 77% Falcons right now, but that's at +2.5. So I don't know if we're going to get there. 71% Bears, 71% Vikings. If you agree with me and you want to take the Lions, actually, that might not be a bad against the grain pick, but not the Falcons, maybe the Niners. I don't know. Other ones that are popular, let's see. The Cowboys are pretty popular, 66%. So that's it. Josh, what else you got going on?
Just
I got a lot of year.
What's that?
Look at that. Look at the sunlight coming in now.
Wow, it's still dark here.
Yeah.
It's the time of the year, John, when the kids are out of school, and for those of us who work from home, you have to figure out how to do. Yesterday, we had some cleaning people come in. We have some guests come in this weekend, so you're trying to like dodge them and the kids, and the wife has a couple of off. So you're like, where the hell am I going to work? There's a little bit more of that this week. Just trying to figure out where I'm going to work, man. Maybe I'll go to Starbucks just to avoid the noise. That's cool. You should do that. If you can do that, it's great. Yeah, my kids, it's a constant stream. I have an office, but there's a constant stream in and out of, hey, I mean, at least when I do stuff like this, it works out okay. My office is closed. On the headset. I lock it. All right. Folks, find us on Twitter. If you want Pickwatch.com, you want to ask us questions. He is at Josh Katzowitz on Twitter. I'm at Halpin37. Our main account is at Pickwatch. As Josh mentioned earlier, I'll be here. I'll be on the Facebook Live at 11:45 a.m. Eastern on Sunday, going over the late inactives, Odell Beckham, guys like that we might have to worry about. But Sunday morning news about injuries might help us out. I think the Giants actually, there could be a swing there, at least what I think, depending on whether Beckham plays or not. So tune in then. Hey, Josh, enjoy the holidays, man. Have a great time with your kids and time off and all that stuff. Not time off for you, but for everybody else. No time off.
We'll be back. And Josh and I will be back next Friday, getting ready for week 17 at the same time. So while you're all sleeping in, hopefully, Josh and I will be here at 7 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Central for him on Friday.
Oh, that's so brutal. So brutal.
Football. All right. That's it. Like I said, Sunday morning, come check it out. For Josh Katzowitz, I'm John Halpin. Thanks for watching Pickwatch Live.